himself.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to our third episode of the Bourbon podcast. Very excited. We have our Chris Workman here as our guest today. Chris has over 35 years of experience as a global supply chain management executive, having worked 4 continents, some really exciting companies, both mid-market, Fortune 500. So today we have 2 topics. We're going to talk about on the sales side, how does a sales executive get in front of somebody like Chris? And then 2, we're going to talk about what Chris is up to today, talk a little bit about his career, and talk about supply chain. But first, Chris, will you do us the honors?
Yep, absolutely. So today we are going to be drinking, this is an MB Roland, Old Second District Bottled in Bod Bourbon. So while I pour this up, Chris, you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, outstanding. Well, first off, let me thank you for the invitation to be here, and I'm looking forward to tasting the bourbon as well. As you mentioned, Rasmus, I've had the privilege over a 35-year career of leading supply chain management organizations, business transformations, turnarounds around the world, literally 3 or 4 continents. Common theme in this is I love solving complex business problems, building teams, and helping organizations perform better.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, let's cheers to that. Welcome.
Cheers, yeah, welcome.
Cheers. Thank you.
Appreciate you stopping by. Smells good.
That's good.
It's very good.
Okay, well, we're going to jump right in and we're going to talk a little bit on the sales side. So I know we have a lot of followers that are in sales. I've been in sales many years myself, so is Chris. So, and it's confusing, we've got 2 Chris's here today. But Chris, $1 million question for you. In your opinion, what separates a great salesperson from an average salesperson?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of factors that go into that. But if I just reflect on my experience, it's really the person who approaches with humility and a problem-solving attitude.
Yep.
That's the person that's going to get your attention.
Yeah.
I can think of some distinct reasons where I wasn't even looking for a new supply chain or logistics partner, but someone approached me and said, can I just learn a bit more about your business? So I think it's when someone approaches with that curiosity and they're truly trying to explore and learn what the fit is, what's the need,
Yes.
that's going to resonate. What doesn't work is the phone call saying, hey, you're a big company, can I quote on your freight?
Exactly. Yeah. No, 100%. And Chris, I think because you and I have been talking about this a lot, and I think you share that opinion too, right?
Yep. Yeah. So the question that I have for you off that is, can you actually tell when they're being genuine and they truly do want to learn more about your business versus when they're being fake?
That's a great question. And I would say the answer to that is it's probably getting to that second conversation, but
Yep.
It's normally the way someone leads. I can think you can pick up sincerity
Yes.
in a voice message. I think you can also pick it up in an email.
Yeah.
Is this a mass-produced email that simply says, I want to quote your work?
Yeah.
Or is this someone saying, may I introduce myself?
Yeah.
I know you're a busy person, but if I could get 10 minutes to learn something about you and your business, I'd really value that.
Yeah.
Those are the interactions that I think stand out.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
I was going to say, what was the percentage of outreach that you got that you would say was really good versus not so good?
There's a lot of talented people out there. I'm going to answer this in a way that's going to sound possibly negative, and that's not how it's meant.
That's part of why we're doing this, right? Is to teach and to educate.
Yeah, but I would say a majority approached it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yes.
More from a speed, check the box.
Yeah.
I have people have expectations of me,
Yeah.
and I have 10 more phone calls to make.
Exactly.
Versus someone who literally said, hey, I know you're busy. Can I get 10 minutes now? Or is there a time that's convenient for you?
Yeah.
Those stand out.
Yeah.
And this wasn't a supply chain story, but I'll just tell you one real quickly. Last business I was running under Thor Industries, I was the president of a plastic extrusion business. Wasn't looking for a new resin supplier. This guy literally just walked in and said, I see your silos out back. I think maybe there's a fit.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, this isn't a good time. And he just said, you tell me when is it good for you? All I want is 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think I've always, taught that on the first one, sell the appointment, don't sell the solution, right? Because when you're trying to get an appointment, you're trying to get in front of somebody, that's where you're selling. That's where you want. You want to lock that down. You don't want to start pitching, oh, I can play, my resin price is this, or my logistic solution is this, because you don't know anything, right? So figure out a way to get the appointment in a genuine way that works for the customer schedule. Then once you're in, now you can start learning, and then you can see if there even is a fit to sell.
Yeah. Totally agree. And again, what stands out, and my experiences as well, when I'm, traveling around the world and I was getting introduced to new teams, I'm the outsider walking in.
Yeah.
I always told them, my first approach is to understand.
Yes.
All I have is questions.
Yes.
I want to understand.
Yeah.
Remember Ted Lasso? Always be curious with the dots.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And I think, you can tell when someone's being sincere about that. And, in today's world where you're getting communicated from so many fronts, I think what also works is someone who is a bit more casual and not so robotic in their reach outs to you.
Yes. Okay. No, that's great. Now, you might already have answered this, but have you ever answered a cold call and actually started a relationship with somebody from the cold call, or?
Yeah. I will have to confess, like most people, you screen the calls and you screen the emails, not out of bad intent, it's out of workload.
Yes.
But I have picked up the phone on a few cold calls. There actually was one situation related to logistics with Thor Industries where a person just reached out to me and we happen to have a problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the
timing
person
was there.
Yeah, the timing was right.
Yeah.
Again, this individual approached it with, I know you have suppliers, obviously.
Yes.
Is there something I can do to distinguish my company?
Yeah.
And he caught me at the right time.
Yeah. No, that's what it's all
That's
about.
huge. Yeah. When it comes to timing, right? So for you, obviously, you were managing multi-million-dollar P&Ls. A lot of that was going on the supply chain side. When did you get to the office on a day-to-day basis?
Usually, I was typically there, seven-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that I used to teach in my sales management days was, make the calls between 7 and 8 a.m., right? When the receptionist isn't there.
Yeah.
Did you often answer calls in that time frame?
That's an excellent point, Chris, that I didn't think about as preparing to come in and meet with you today. But the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Because things are calmer.
Yeah.
Calling me at 9 o'clock when there's 3 people outside my door and the phone's ringing and I have 75 emails waiting for me is not a good time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Also, as crazy as it sounds, late Friday afternoons.
Yeah.
Things are kind of quieted down. You're kind of decompressing going into the weekend. I found that's also a good timing.
Yeah.
Little bit of in a better mood, right? You're like, the week's over,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny enough, years ago when Rasmus and I worked together, we would have cold call blitzes starting at 4 p.m. And myself and one of the other sales guys, we'd be calling until 6 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah.
And we had more success after 5 on Fridays than we did throughout the rest of the week. It was fun.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just always make one more call on the sales front was always helpful.
No, that's cool. So another question that we wanted to ask, and I'm going to ask both of you this, but somebody starting out in sales today, right? You just graduated college, maybe you got 2 years of operations, you're moving into sales. What would your advice be for them to get started?
That's a great question. First thing that comes to mind is if I could say that, authenticity.
Yes.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to get handed product literature, company literature, target customers. You're
Yeah.
going to get inundated with data. Don't necessarily try to rewrite it, but understand it and learn to put it in your own voice.
Yeah.
Because when you can do that, you come across with honesty and authenticity.
Yes.
And the other part of it is understand it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be successful that first day, that first month.
Yeah.
It's going to take several months to kind of get your groove, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And approach it with a learning attitude.
Yeah.
Would be my advice.
That's great.
Yep.
Chris, what would you say?
I agree with a lot of that. My recommendation has always be the hardest worker in the room. When I first got into logistics, somebody told me that, right? Be the first one in, last one to leave, do more work than anybody else. The more you put in your first year, the more successful you'll be in years 2, 3, 4, and 5. As people start remembering your outreach, you become a known name within their inbox. And now they're coming to you in year 5, 6. business is coming to you organically. But that all stems from how hard you work in year one. And I think that's key. If you're working hard in year one, years 2, 3, 4, and beyond becomes so much easier as a salesperson.
Yeah, you're laying that strong foundation.
Yeah,
exactly. And I strongly agree with both of you. And what I would add is that a lot of the time you have to play the long play, right? Because the first year you're contacting people, you might not close the business, right? But to your point, you keep calling, they know your name. It might take you 2 years before the timing is right, right? So if you're strategic, you're doing it the right way, you're not just trying to get one shipment or one order, but you want to sell solutions and you want to stay curious and learn, right?
I can give you a quick true story on that.
Yeah.
So I started my career in sales, specialty chemicals. And there was a customer who was 100% sourced to my competitor. And I, like clockwork, went out of my way to go meet with this person once a quarter.
Yeah.
And after 2 years, he gave me the opportunity to bid on his business.
Okay.
And what he said to me, and I will never forget this, he was late in his career, I was very young. What he said to me is, your determination, you've earned the opportunity.
Yeah. That's great.
Well, and that's, you just keep going, right?
When you talk about the long game, right? So you were running RFQs and pricing for all sorts of different supply chain functions, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would prompt you to make those switches, right? When you change a vendor, right? For the folks that are watching this, that are listening to this, how did you manage that? What made you look at a new vendor, and then what ultimately allowed a new vendor in the door? Because RFQ process, I could be going in year 1, year 2, year 3, nothing, and then year 4 something happens. So how did you set expectations with that?
Yeah, great question. Well, first and foremost, a lot of companies quote for the sake of quoting.
Yeah.
And I have a term for it. I call it RFQ fatigue.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you just keep on getting thrown RFQs,
Yeah.
you're throwing out a price, but there's really isn't a business opportunity. So, Chris, I'm going to answer this question from the perspective of there isn't a supply continuity or quality type issue.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is business standard. I now have a supplier I'm interested in. I firmly believe and taught my teams that we're going to go about this very process driven, right? The number looks good. Let's dive into it. Do we understand the number? What is their spec of work they're quoting? What's that scope?
Yep.
Does it match ours? Have we been to their factory? Did we do our homework? And then again, if there's not a supply continuity risk, work them in.
Yeah,
Work them in and build up. And I would be honest to tell that suppliers, no, I'm not going to give you 51%, but I'm willing to give you 20,
Yeah.
and let's earn it, and let's come back in a year and see how you performed.
Yeah, that's great.
No, that's great. So talk a little bit about on the supply chain management before we switch gears to the second topic. Any crazy stories, any fun stories that, and I'm going to put you on the spot, that kind of jump to mind that you want to share?
Well, there is, and it's more about people and communication and culture. But I think it's a great story because I personally lived it. So you're going to see me smiling at myself. So I was working, Terex assigned me to take over as director of supply management for our China sourcing offices. We had an office in Beijing and Shanghai. And I went there and it was process redefined, some staffing changes, really get the scope and mission sharpened and get people executing.
Yeah.
I would go spend 3 weeks working on all these things, day-long meetings. I'm living it on the weekends. I'd go home for a week, remind my family what I look like, and I'd come back to China. And I'd have daily check-ins with them when I'm in the U.S.
Yeah.
And everything's good. I get back to China, and they went back to what they were doing.
Mm.
Yeah.
So after a few cycles of this, I have the whole team in a conference room, and I explained to them that the word yes is a huge thing to an American. Those 3 letters mean I understand, I agree, I will do. All wrapped up in those 3 letters. And I said, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You keep going back and forth and you just keep doing what you did. And I said, I want you to answer a question honestly. I said, is this an American yes? I understand, I agree, I will do. Or is this a Chinese yes that you're acknowledging my mouth is moving?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a team member in the room who I'd worked with a bit longer, so we had an established relationship. And I see him put his head down and he raises his hand and he says, that's a Chinese yes. So, but the good thing was it turned the discussion into how do I get, what makes this yes for you?
Yes.
And what I did is I got up, I said, I'm leaving. You redo this whole strategy deck so that you're comfortable with it and you're presenting it as yours.
Yeah.
And then they called me back in a couple hours, and it really wasn't significantly changed. It was really, we like that word leading here, and we think step short 4 should be number 2. But the point is, they now owned it.
Yeah.
So they took ownership. They felt they were more part of the process.
And it also comes down to, and I think, it was easy for me to understand the complexity of communication when I'm the English speaker and it's their second language.
Yes.
But that's even true when you're talking to somebody across town.
Sure.
Is we often make assumptions people understand when perhaps they don't.
Yes. People sometimes listen to answer, right? Not listen to understand.
Right.
But I think that's great. So let's switch gears because I know a little bit about what you're doing currently, but I'm excited for you to share that. So, because I personally think it's exciting that you're taking your 35 years of experience, working in multiple continents, living in multiple countries, working for Fortune 500 companies, mid-market companies. You're taking all that experience now in your current role to both help companies, but also leaders. So share a little bit about what you're doing with Agens and Vistage, and how did this all come about?
Yeah, thanks. I will have to confess, it wasn't a strategy. They both kind of developed organically. I was leading for Thor Industries in the recent past. The business was sold, and the owners just folded my factory into their business, so it didn't need myself and my team. So it gave me kind of a bit of a crossroads. And as you said, after 35 years of business experience, for me, it wasn't a question of retiring. I'm not ready for that. It was really a question of, what do I want this next chapter to be?
Yeah.
So with that, I launched Agens Consulting, and it's focusing on helping businesses solve complex operational and supply chain challenges.
Yeah.
Right about the same time, I had the opportunity to get exposed to Vistage, and Vistage is an organization where it's the world's oldest, been around almost 70 years. And what it's all about is bringing senior leaders, business owners, CEOs together into confidential peer groups to help them address leadership challenges.
Okay.
So I've now been doing this close to a year, and I've come to realize that these are the same endeavor. It's helping businesses solve problems, have better results, and in the same process, hopefully better communities and teams. And Agens focuses on helping this from an operational perspective: execution, performance, metrics, problem solving. Vistage focuses on helping business leaders make better decisions.
Yeah.
The outcome is the same: healthier organizations, better businesses.
Yes, that's awesome. Now, we'll start with Agens. So any particular size company, or any particular, if they have a kind of a struggle that would be a great fit for you, or how has it gone so far?
Yeah, right now, I've really been networking within my community, so that's kind of the construction equipment, automotive, RV industries. But the people that it's typically coming in to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Right? No one's gonna come in and hire you because there might be.
Sure.
Right. So normally it's coming across a problem, and the typical examples are, I've got a leadership gap.
Yeah.
My supply chain leader just left. I don't know really where we're going with this. So I helped an organization came in and not only helped them kind of keep the supply management function going and drive some projects forward that were priorities for them, but also help them look for a replacement.
Yeah.
I've got another project right now where a company is UK based. They've got a good customer base in the UK and Europe. They're not sure how to expand in the US, and they offer supply chain services.
Yes.
So I'm really helping them draft a strategy and really kind of how would I go about building a business in the US.
Awesome.
So it comes into interim leadership, problem solving in that operational excellence and supply management space.
Well, it's fun sometimes how everything comes together, right? Because I had a little bit of a similar realization at one point where, in my career working in freight forwarding and logistics for 18 years, what I really enjoyed was, finding people, recruiting people, training, coaching, and kind of seeing the fruits of the labor, right? So once I started my recruiting company, it kind of all came together, right? And it sounds like that's what's happening to you, right? It's like, I have all this experience working in China, because I know you've lived in Italy, right?
Yep, Italy, Switzerland, France. I haven't lived. I mean, I've done extended assignments in Germany, France, Italy, UK. Susan and I lived in Switzerland. I did extended projects in Brazil, India, and China.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Indiana.
Yeah, and Indiana, right? And and again, looking back at it, tremendous opportunities, that I couldn't have hoped to script.
Yes.
It was situations But I think also, there's a skill set that goes with it. And,
Yes.
I showed time and time again the ability to walk into an unfamiliar situation and quickly assess, decide what needed to be done, build the team, and execute.
That's fantastic. And then with Vistage, are you? I think you're close to launching, or
Yeah, I'm getting real close. Yesterday had a fantastic meeting with what I'm calling my founding members. So
Yep.
that's kind of this original core. So really, what attracted me to Vistage? True story. I was literally at a networking event, or what I thought was simply a networking event at University of Notre Dame
Yeah.
about a year ago, and I randomly sat next to a person at the table who was a Vistage chair.
Yeah.
And I said, "What in the world's that?"
Yeah.
And so we stayed and talked for probably a good 90 minutes after the meeting was over. And it really struck something with me. And what it is when I look back at my career, what stands out to me as those really positive experiences are where I had a relationship with my manager, where I was trusted, I was allowed to take some risk, and I was allowed to maybe make a mistake or two along the way in an environment of development, coaching, and partnership.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm recreating with Vistage.
yes,
I'm giving leaders an opportunity in a non-competing environment, so there aren't two leaders from the same business
Sure. Yeah.
in the room.
Yeah.
But we're creating that safe space where you can talk about what's below the waterline.
Yeah.
I like to say, what's really keeping you up at night?
yes,
Not the safe things to talk about at the coffee pot or to put in the PowerPoint, but
Yeah.
the things that are really, really bothering you. And it's really just amazing, the discovery that comes out of it when you get a diverse group. I participate in a group as a member, sitting
Yeah.
in the chair as part of my continued development. And every month I walk out of that just going, damn, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
So that power of peer thinking is really fascinating, and it's remarkable.
Well, because you're learning from their challenges, you're learning from their successes, right, and you're learning from their growth, right. So if you have that peer group, let's say 10 people, everybody sharing, everybody growing together, it's very very admirable, very cool concept.
Yeah. So in Vistage, I did my homework. I really think the best of the best. They've been around for 70 years, 45,000 members worldwide in more than 35 countries.
Yeah. So are there a lot of sometimes business opportunities between Vistage members and such?
That's a great question. It came up with a potential member I was speaking with recently.
Yeah.
The way I put this is, the organization is not built for networking.
Sure.
It's
not a sales.
And there's a lot of organizations that do that. But what I say is you're going to build lifelong relationships.
Yeah.
And a perfect example is in the group that I participate in as a member, there's a leader of a regional bank. And we were on a break, and I just asked him, why are you here? And he very quickly came to three things. He said, better decision making.
Yeah.
This group around the table consistently helped me make better decisions. The second thing he said was leadership development. And he kind of laughed, and I'm just paraphrasing him, but he said, banks talk about leadership development, they don't do anything. So, learning from my peers, the training, the quality of the speakers that come in as part of the Vistage process. Then the third thing he said is the relationships. No one in this room has given me work, but everyone in this room has referred me to their network where I've developed work. And that comes from trust.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I can share a little secret. It's not only banks that don't develop their leaders.
That's true.
We see that across very much in the
industries.
logistics and the supply chain industry. But awesome. This has been great. I think what we'd like to do now, Chris, we've been enjoying this. Can you pause a little bit more?
Yep. So again, really, really quick on them. So Old Second District here by MB Roland Distilling. They're from Western Kentucky. The name itself dates back to pre-Prohibition era.
Okay.
And it's kind of an homage to what was bourbon before Prohibition. And then we've got all of the new kind of flavors and variations after. It's 100 proof. And what you'll taste on the front end, you should be tasting dates, raisins, things like that. You've got some honey in there as well. And on the back end, you'll get some cinnamon, a bit of spice. So readily available at most Vinnie's locations or your local liquor stores, somewhere between $50 and $65, $70
Okay.
on this particular bottle.
Yeah.
Well, let's cheers again. And,
Cheers.
Thank
Thank you. Great discussion.
What's your take on this one?
It's not one that I would pull compared to some of the previous ones. It's good. I do pick up some sweetness, but it's a bit spicy for me. So, I'm going to coming a little bit lower on my rating. I'll save the number until the end though.
Okay. I like it. I think it's an easy drinker. It's not like peaty or too leathery, but it is a little spicy. It has a little bit. So I think it's a little different for me. Do you like it? And then,
Yeah, full disclosure, I drink more vodka than bourbon.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But I do enjoy bourbon, and I would agree. I kind of like the spicy finish. It
Okay.
stands out to me as something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would buy it.
Yeah, a good one. Definitely one to have on the shelf, and on a Saturday night with friends, it would probably be gone.
I think it would be gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just for some of the ones that I prefer more of a double oak. I like that more robust, smooth flavor to it. When you go vodka, though, what's your vodka of choice?
I'm an absolute fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you straight like absolute, or are you getting flavors into it as well?
Straight absolute.
Okay.
Don't ruin the vodka with flavors. Is kind of my motto.
Yeah. Good deal.
So how would you rate it?
My personal taste, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's not terrible. I would drink it regularly. I would choose some of the other bottles that I've had more, but it is still good.
Okay, cool. Well, we also like to end up the podcast talk a little bit about success stories the month that passed. So, Chris, obviously, we finished July.
Yeah, July for us. We at Caliber, we had a really successful month. It
awesome.
started off hot. It got even hotter. And then it finished as an inferno. Like, there is a lot going on in logistics, a lot of hiring activity. We've seen a lot of pickup across the U.S., not just Chicagoland based, but across the U.S. And we've had a really
What's
good one.
driving that?
It's a good question. So it's, there's a lot of new business. Some of our clientele has been adding new team members because their business has picked up. They've
kind of volume driven.
Yeah, so volume driven is one. We're starting to get in what's typically peak season within logistics as well. So I think that's it. But with what's been going on, I think there's been a bit of, what's the right word to say? There's a bit of
Well, I think there was a lot of hesitation. To hire.
Trepidation to hire.
So there's a little bit of catch up now. We are also seeing a lot of our clients, getting those data center orders, all that stuff. So obviously a lot of data centers being built, a lot of servers, a lot of racking, a lot of equipment coming in for that. So it is correct. But I saw a quote the other day that I absolutely loved, and it said, you are hiring supply chain managers today for tomorrow's supply chain, right? So we also see a lot of our clients, everybody wants to do more with less. So I think we're seeing a lot of people looking at upgrades, right? And that's where I think it's driving it a lot.
Just a quick comment. I've noticed that across many industries. The word trepidation is what keeps coming to my mind.
Yeah.
Just really hesitant to open that checkbook because of there's so much, political and economic uncertainty. The headwinds coming at us. So I think people are really hesitant.
Yeah. Well, and that was like 2025. Everybody was hesitant. Q1, Q2, it was slowly easing up, and now I think people are just like
floodgates open.
Yeah, can't wait anymore.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. It is what it is. We got to get in the ring. We gotta
I think you're right.
So, well, Chris, cheers to July.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to ask. Hang on. I'm going to ask you, Chris. Would you mind maybe just rounding off the podcast? Tell us just a little bit, about you, and if there's anybody that, anything about Vistage, anything that we maybe haven't talked about.
I'll come back to kind of our core message of today, which is around supply management. It's driven by process. It's driven by systems. There's always going to be new technology. And that's the reality. AI is going to slowly transition in. And I think people sometimes think of it as a fear in the job replacement context.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just an outstanding productivity tool, and organizations need to embrace it, figure out how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But you strip all that away. Good organizations come down to the best people.
Yep.
And that's really what it's all about. People run the system, people run the processes. So that's really kind of my parting message. In all my experiences over these years, nothing replaces those talented people. So that's really the foundation.
Yes, talented people, and allowing them to make decisions, right?
Yeah.
Because you can have the best people, and if they're held back, if they don't have the knowledge, and I think that's where you and Vistage and Agens comes in kind of as a mentor, right? Helping enable them to actually, reach their potential.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, helping companies and leaders make better decisions.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, appreciate
Cheers.
it.
I thought that was a fun
Appreciate you
episode,
stopping in.
and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was good.
It's spicy.
It's a little bit more for my taste now. I like it, but it's.
The funny thing is,
I need a cigar. That's
Yeah.
why.
the funny thing is, we were drinking it, and I was going, oh, there was something I couldn't picture, and as soon as you said it was spicy, I was like, that's it. Okay, it's spice.